You're watching RaiderNationTV.
Welcome to the first episode of RaiderNationTV. First of all, I would like to thank my buddy Devin for doing the intro. Thanks, buddy. Second of all, a lot of people have been asking me, why are you doing this? My response is, I'm tired of Central South Dakota being left out when it comes to sports media coverage. So without further ado, let's head to the Lyman Gardens as the volleyball girls take on Colome last Tuesday. In the first set, the Raiders were up 21-17 after a Bailey Luff ace, and the Raiders would go on to win the first set 25-20. In the second set, the Raiders got off to a fast start, going up 6-0 thanks to some sharp serving from junior setter Bailey Allman. Also in the second set, the Raiders showed that they can dominate at the net as Rachel Chester gets a block to put the Raiders up 18-10. Later on, Allman would set up Hannah Flitner for the kill. In the final set, the girls in red found themselves in a hole down early, 5-2, but a nice block by junior Anna Flitner would jumpstart the rally train for the Raiders as they clawed their way back to pull ahead 9-7. A long volley that starts with the partial block by Haley Halverson and ends with a side out by Colome would put the Raiders up 23-18, and they would go on to get the sweep over Colome 3-0, winning the third set 25-21. After the match, I talked to co-head coach Jill Whalen on what she liked and what she also needs to work on with the girls in practice.
Well, I liked how we were pretty aggressive with our serving. We had a lot of out serves, but at least we didn't have serves that were going into the net. I'd rather them go deep and stay aggressive as servers. And I also liked that our net play was more aggressive. Our players in the front row were up and they were blocking balls and getting their hands on some balls and slowing it down for our defense. And our hitting was a lot more aggressive tonight, so that was really, really exciting to see. You know, I think that they all played really well. We're always focused on our passing, and I thought our passers, each one of our passers did a great job. And I also think we have one setter, and she hustles around the court, Bailey Allman, and she did great. And we also have our front row, and our front row, like I said, each one of our blockers and hitters did a great job tonight. So I think it was a team effort. We're going to be working on our intensity. We were definitely a little bit slow, a little bit lethargic tonight, so we're going to definitely be working on that in practice, and then we're just going to keep going after the serve and the serve receive. It's our most important parts of the game.
The Netters were in action again on Thursday as they hosted a triangular with Phillip and Stanley County. I wasn't able to attend the Phillip game, but I heard it was a good one. Phillip won the first game 25-20 before the Raiders would go on to win 25-22, 25-19, 25-19. In the nightcap, the Raiders faced the Buffaloes of Stanley County. Early in the first, Chesney Garnis would put the Raiders up 8-5 with an ace. The Raiders would pull away and win the first set 25-17. Now in the second set, the Raiders were on top 14-8 when Haley Halverson served and a long volley ensued. Bailey Luff would eventually get the dig as Anna Flitner would set up Rachel Chester, who'd pop the ball over the net, and Stanley County would finally mishandle a pass, allowing the Raiders the 15th point of the match. Now it's 22-16 when Bailey Allman would set up Rachel Chester again for the kill. The Raiders dominated the second set 25-16. Moving on to the third set, Lyman would start off on a roll behind some Allman aces. Stanley County would try to mount a comeback down 16-7 as Haley Norman would block Jessica Welter's spike, but it wasn't enough as the Raiders would cruise through the third set 25-15. After the match, I talked to co-head coach Jill Whalen about not having any seniors on the team and also about her defensive strategy.
Pretty big junior class, and about 4 of them, I think, played last year, so they're kind of used to that leadership role, and they've stepped up and they've kind of taken these younger girls under their wing and showed them how we play the game, and they're doing really well, so we're pretty proud. Our middles are a huge part of our game plan. We always work on our net play, and our net awareness is what I like to call it. And so anytime there's a ball anywhere around the net, I want our middles to be there and to have their hands up, because they can go up and get an easy point for our team. So them being tall is great, but it's their net awareness and just being able to see what's happening on the court and react quickly and get our team some easy points. We actually do position training with our defense, with our hitters, and with our setters in the beginning of almost every practice. So our defense is working on their side of the court, and they're moving and getting to their defensive spots, if a middle would hit, if an outside would hit, or a right side would hit. So now it's pretty easy for them to move and to talk and to get into their defensive spot. So yeah, I guess they are in the right spot at the right time. That's the way we practice it. So I'm glad that it shows when they play.
The girls will host Winter on Tuesday and Bennett County on Saturday. Now moving on to the gridiron, the boys are trying to bounce back from a 20-36 loss to White River last Friday night. They hosted Kadoka on Parents' Night. The first half was a slugfest as both teams tried to establish a running game. Quarter Cropsey would stop Chandler Sudbeck dead in his tracks before he crossed the line of scrimmage. Kadoka would try a fake punt in the first quarter, but Charlie LaRush would not be fooled as he breaks up the pass. Both teams struggled to gain yards and repeatedly tried for it on fourth down, but Nick Hayes stayed home and sniffed out this screen pass on a Cougar fourth down attempt. Kadoka went to their quarterback, Kenner Vandermeer, early and often, but the Raiders were able to hold him in check the first half without any damage being done. With just over a minute left in the first half, the Raiders would take their best shot at scoring, jump-started by a 17-yard pass from Jelani to brother Jalen Youthy, but the Raiders couldn't capitalize, so the score going into half would remain 0-0. Now in the second half, it wouldn't take long for Kadoka to score on a Vandermeer keeper with 8:35 left in the third. A long pass from Jelani to Jalen would put the Raiders in good field position and lead to a 17-yard touchdown scamper with 10:28 left in the fourth quarter on a Youthy-to-Youthy option play. The two-point conversion would be no good to make it 8-6 Cougars. 3 minutes later, Vandermeer would hand off to Sudbeck, who would make two defenders miss and go down the sideline for the score. The two-point conversion was no good, so the score would be 14-6 Kadoka. The Raiders would answer back with 5:28 left as Jelani Youthy would run the option to perfection, pitching it to Charlie LaRush for a 17-yard touchdown run to make it 14-12 Cougars. Kadoka would then run some time off the clock before Vandermeer would score once again on a quarterback sneak with just over a minute left in the game, and the two-point try would be successful to put the Cougars ahead 22-12. But the Raiders weren't done yet, as only 2 plays after the kickoff, Jelani Youthy would throw a bomb down the sideline to Charlie LaRush for a 53-yard touchdown reception. The Raiders could not convert the 2 points, so the score would remain 22-18 with 54 seconds left in the game. The Raiders' only chance was to kick an onside, but the ball came up just short of rolling the required 10 yards. With the loss, the Raiders dropped to 0-2 and will travel to Lower Brule on Friday for a 7 p.m. start time. On Saturday, the cross-country team traveled to Wall and took home some hardware, as the girls took home first place in the varsity division. Sarah Herman led the team by placing second with a time of 17:39, followed closely by Quinn Luff, who placed third with a time of 17:49. Jalen Youthy was the lone varsity runner on the boys' side, and he managed to capture 8th place, which Coach Joel Milton was pleased with, considering Youthy played in a football game the night before. Some JV runners also saw action, with Emmett Houchin leading the way. The next meet for the Harriers will be in White River on September 10th, weather permitting. That does it for this episode of Raider Nation Television. Until next week, you stay classy, Lyman County.